Everyone at the wedding froze the moment she walked in. Whispers rippled across the hall like a quiet storm. Who is that woman? No one knew her name, not yet. Not even the groom, her own son. He had invited his mother to this wedding for one reason: to humiliate her, to show the world how far beneath him she was. But what he didn't know was that the poor village woman he despised was returning as the billionaire the world called Sir King. And before the night ended, every secret would unravel.
But how did a struggling single mother, a woman who once sold vegetables by the roadside, become one of the richest women in West Africa? Why did her own son grow to hate her? And what made her choose that day, his wedding day, to reveal who she truly was? Tonight, we unfold a story of pride, betrayal, transformation, and a lesson the groom would never forget. This is a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about family, loyalty, and the price of shame.
Her name was Salome Adeniomi, but in the small village of Ijowa, people just called her Mama Tunde. She married young, too young, to a charming man who made promises the wind carried away. When he disappeared, leaving her with a newborn, the world didn't show mercy. She sold peppers in the market. She cleaned houses. She did everything, even the jobs that broke her back, because she believed her son deserved a better life than hers. Every morning, before dawn, she would wake up and stare at her sleeping boy, whispering prayers that he would never know hunger the way she did. She promised herself that no matter what it took, Tunde would finish school. He would wear clean clothes. He would walk with his head high. But children don't always see sacrifice. And Tunde, oh Tunde, saw only what others whispered. They called his mother poor, uneducated, village woman, and slowly, shame replaced love. Tunde started avoiding her at school events. He stopped walking home with her, stopped introducing her as his mother. He wanted wealth, class, elegance, everything he thought his mother could never give him. By the time he turned 16, he barely looked her in the eye anymore. When she arrived at his school prize-giving ceremony in her faded wrapper and worn sandals, he pretended not to know her. He stood with his friends, laughing loudly, while she waited by the gate with a small bag of roasted groundnuts she had bought to celebrate his achievement. She watched him from a distance, her heart breaking quietly, and when he finally walked past her without a word, she didn't cry. She just turned around and walked home alone.
Years later, Tunde became successful, at least on the outside. He moved to Lagos, got a corporate job, started dreaming of marrying into a wealthy family. And then he met Jessica, the daughter of a real estate tycoon. Beautiful, educated, everything he thought he needed. But there was one problem. Jessica's family believed deeply in prestige, bloodline, appearances. So when they asked about his parents, Tunde said the words that would forever stain his soul. My mother? She passed away years ago. And that lie became his truth. He told it so many times that he almost believed it himself. When Jessica asked to see pictures, he said they were lost in a fire. When her parents asked about a memorial service, he changed the subject. And Salome, sitting alone in her small room back in Ijowa, kept calling his phone, number unreachable. She sent letters through neighbors who traveled to Lagos. No response. She asked village elders to help her find him. They came back with nothing. For 3 years, she lived in the shadow of abandonment, wondering if her son was alive, if he was safe, if he ever thought of her. And every night she prayed the same prayer. God, let him remember me before I die. Let him know I forgive him. And meanwhile, Tunde was preparing for the wedding of the year. 500 guests, a celebrity DJ, a designer cake flown in from Paris. And just 2 weeks before the wedding, something strange happened. He received a handwritten letter delivered by courier with no return address. It read, "Your mother is alive and she knows everything." Tunde's hands shook as he read it. His first instinct was panic, then anger, then calculation. If she showed up and ruined this wedding, everything he had built would collapse. So, he did something cruel. He sent her an invitation, but not to honor her. He wanted her to come so everyone could see the poor woman he had risen above. He wanted Jessica's family to pity him for having such a humble background, so they would admire him even more for his success.
Years passed. Salome grew older and lonelier, but life had one final twist for her. One afternoon, while delivering food to a businesswoman in the neighboring town, she overheard a conversation about farmland being sold far below value. Land rich with minerals, but dismissed by everyone else. The woman was laughing about it. She said only a fool would buy land in the middle of nowhere with no road access and no water. But Salome didn't hear foolishness. She heard opportunity. She used every naira she had saved over years, money she had hidden in a small metal box under her bed, money she had been saving in case Tunde ever came back and needed help. She bought the land. People laughed, mocked her, called her foolish. The village chief even tried to talk her out of it, saying she was throwing her life savings into dust. But the land she bought for pennies was sitting on untapped lithium reserves. Within 6 months, geologists arrived. Within a year, international mining companies were knocking on her door. Within 2 years, she transformed from a struggling market woman to the CEO of a global mineral export company. She became the mysterious billionaire the media nicknamed Sally Queen, the queen of silent wealth. Articles were written about her. Business magazines featured her success story, but no one knew her real name. No one knew she was the same woman who once sold peppers in Ijowa market. She kept her identity hidden, not out of shame, but because she had learned something powerful. The world respects mystery, and she was no longer interested in proving herself to anyone, except perhaps to one person. But she remained invisible to her son. He never called, never visited, never knew the world now bowed to the woman he once hid her fear. If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who's truly following this shocking story. Tunde's wedding day arrived, a ceremony dripping with wealth, elegance, and arrogance. He invited his mother, not out of love, but so guests could laugh at her ragged clothes and village manners. He wanted to shame her one last time, to prove to Jessica's family that he had escaped his origins. What he didn't know was simple. Salome never received the invitation. But Sally Queen did. When the invitation arrived at her corporate office in Lagos, her assistant brought it to her with confusion. "Madam, someone sent you a wedding invitation, but they addressed it to a village in Ijowa." Salome opened it, and when she saw her son's name, she didn't cry. She didn't rage. She just sat in silence for a long time. Then she smiled. A quiet, knowing smile. She told her assistant to prepare her finest gown, to book her a private car, to make sure she arrived exactly 30 minutes after the ceremony began. When she entered the hall, the entire room seemed to tilt. Guests gasped. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Tunde whispered urgently to Jessica, "Who is that?" Jessica's mother grabbed her husband's arm, her eyes wide. "That's Sally Queen! The Sally Queen! What is she doing here?" Tunde felt his stomach drop. He knew that walk. He knew that presence. And when she lifted her veil, his soul nearly left his body. His mother, the woman he lied about, the woman he abandoned, had returned as the billionaire whose name filled newspapers. She walked slowly toward the high table, her heels echoing in the silence. Every eye followed her, and when she reached Tunde, she stopped, looked him in the eye, and said, "Hello, my son." Tunde fell to his knees, not out of love, but out of fear and humiliation. "Mama, is it really you?" Gasps filled the room. Jessica stumbled backward. Her father stood frozen, his champagne glass trembling in his hand. Salome looked at him with calm eyes, eyes that had carried mountains. "Yes, Tunde, I came to bless your marriage, but also to see the man my son has become."
The hall was silent. Even the musicians had stopped playing. Jessica's parents, sensing the danger, immediately changed their tone. "Madam Sally Queen, please, sit with us at the high table. We had no idea. We are so honored." For the first time in years, Salome smiled. But it wasn't pride. It wasn't revenge. It was the smile of a mother who finally understood something. Riches can change a person's status, but character is the only true wealth. She sat down. She blessed the marriage. She even gave a speech that brought tears to the eyes of strangers. But she also left a message that burned into every heart present. Never be ashamed of your roots. Even a seed buried deep becomes a tree the world must look up to. I forgive you, Tunde, but forgiveness doesn't erase memory. After the ceremony, Tunde approached her, shaking, desperate. "Mama, please, I'm sorry. I was young. I didn't understand." Salome placed a hand on her shoulder. "I know, and I hope one day, when you have children of your own, you'll understand what it means to love someone more than your own pride." Then she left, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in peace. She had given him everything, including the freedom to live with his choices. And as her car pulled away from the venue, she looked out the window at the city lights and whispered a prayer, not for wealth, not for revenge, but for her son to finally learn what it means to be human.
What would you have done in her place? Would you have revealed yourself or walked away silently? Do you believe her success was destiny or the reward for a heart that never stopped giving? Could you forgive a child who denied you? Could you stand in front of the world and choose grace over bitterness?
Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, if it made you think about the people you've loved and lost, the sacrifices that went unnoticed, or the power of humility, then share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more timeless stories that will touch your heart and stay with you long after the video ends. Because some stories aren't just told, they are felt. And this is one of them.